I've had a few requests to explain how I do the bracketing videos where I bracket a passage of scripture. I'll happily share that. The first step is to bracket the passage, to actually analyze and draw a diagram of the passage to inform one's understanding of it. For that, I use this amazing website called BibleArc.com, which is free if you live in Africa. So I've come to BibleArc.com and it gives me a number of diagramming options. The one I want is called Discourse, arcing/bracketing. Now I must choose a passage. For demonstration purposes, I'm going to choose 2 Timothy 3 and just do verses 16 and 17. You can see that it gives me an option to choose which Bibles I want to work with. So I'm going to use the ESV and the SBL Greek New Testament. And I click load. And this is what I see. I see an empty diagram with each verse of my passage displayed in a block. And now I'm able to chop that verse up and demarcate relationships. The software gives me 2 ways of doing this. One is called arcing, which I won't try to explain, but it's done on the right. And the other is bracketing. So you will have seen the moment I put my arc in, it did it on the left. These are simply 2 different ways of displaying the same information. Essentially what we're doing is we're going to work through the passage, ideally proposition by proposition, but for this purpose I'll just do the 2 verses. And the first thing I would ask is, what is the relationship between the 2 parts? All scripture is breathed out by God, that the man of God may be complete. What is the relationship here? Here's one of the beauties of BibleArc. Once I've grouped my 2 portions, it gives me prepackaged a whole list of possible relationships, and you can add your own if you wish. This is action purpose. God breathed out the scriptures so that the man of God may be complete, equipped for every good work. Now I can go and subdivide this further, and this is, I'm going to hide the Greek by the way, I'm going to take that out. I'll just remove one column. So we'll just see the ESV. It's easier to work with, otherwise I have to click twice for each thing. Now I could subdivide verse 16. All scripture is breathed out by God and profitable. So let's split those 2. And let's say the relationship between those 2 is, this is an action, God breathed out the scriptures, and this is a result. As a result, they are profitable. So I would label that as action result. And I can reorient what I think is primary. Now I could even go and do this further. Profitable for teaching, for reproof, so I could separate that and say profitable, and then for is again purpose. But here I've got a list of things, right? For teaching, for reproof, for correction, and for training in righteousness. So I could turn my list into a series. And there we go. There is a simple diagram of 1 Timothy 3. Now you'll notice I can even give it a summary thing. So I could say the purpose of biblical inspiration, for example. Done. And I have a complete first attempt at a diagram. The problem with this is, while this really helps me to understand the passage, if I show this to a church or a church member, they won't know what they're looking at. The arcing side just looks like a mess, doesn't it? Whereas the bracketing side makes a little bit more sense, but because the labels are all partly hidden and sometimes the diagram is a bit complex, I don't leave it here. I go and I repackage this diagram into PowerPoint in a way that allows me to unfold it little by little and explain the relationships. I'll show you that in a separate video.